Hi, and welcome to Unit 30, Cleaning Brick and Concrete Block. So by the end of this chapter, you'll be able to describe some methods we use to keep masonry work clean during the construction stage, which this is all preventative. This is just being neat, clean, and proper housekeeping. We'll talk about some proper cleaning techniques to clean brickwork, and we'll go over a step-by-step procedure in cleaning brickwork with proprietary cleaners. So you'll be able to talk about how to test the approved cleaners, where to test it, what's required, and follow the brick manufacturer's recommendation for what you should use. You'll also be able to describe how concrete block are cleaned and what can happen if you don't clean them. So after you get done laying your wall, regardless of type of brick or block or joints or anything else that you're doing, the last stage is to always clean up everything. So you'll see when you're laying it, you might get specks of mortar here and there, maybe a glob there, and those all need to be cleaned off, because if you don't, it's going to look bad. And if you're putting that much time and effort into it, it might as well look nice. So when you clean it, it thoroughly enhances the look of the brick, of the block, and it just leaves a much neater, uniform appearance. It's also an essential part of every masonry job that you do. Laying out, getting your materials together, laying your brick or block are just as important as cleaning it when you're done. So there's different methods that we're going to go over for cleaning brick and block. Most importantly, you can see with this updated picture from about 1965, goggles are important, especially because of some of the solutions that you use. Some have acid, some are really strong detergents, and others have VOCs in them. So make sure you have your gloves on. You can see he has a stiff bristle brush right here with a long handle. Make sure you have a plastic bucket, a hose with an adjustable nozzle, and you should also have wood or concrete, like a piece of block or brick. And the reason you do that is if it's concrete block, you use a piece of concrete block, and then you just rub it across. If it's brick, you use a piece of brick and you rub it across, and that gets most of it off. If there are big globs of it, or if it's really sloppy, there are ways to clean it off without marring the brick. You can also use a piece of wood to scrape off larger portions that you see. As for VOCs, a lot of places are starting to get away from them. They're volatile organic compounds. You need to be outside to use a lot of them. You're only allowed to be exposed to them for a certain amount of time. They can cause lung tissue damage. Sometimes you need a specific respirator just to use them. So, up until a few years ago, muriatic acid was the go-to for cleaning brick. It's a mild acid solution that gets scrubbed on, and it stops reacting with the mortar after about 10 minutes, and it helps dissolve it. Now, manufacturers, they recommend something else. They have their own cleaning solutions. Usually it's a proprietary one, or one that they've tested and one that they deem suitable for their brick. It's important not to clean or wash brickwork until at least 7 days after it's done. It's not because of the brick, but it gives the mortar enough set time. So after 7 days, your mortar should be set, and then it'll be okay to scrape off the loose portions on the face of your brick or block, but it shouldn't affect the joints. If you're going to use a new cleaner, always test it somewhere out of the way. Even if it's recommended, it might discolor the mortar, it might discolor the brick. So just keep aware of that. and make sure you test it somewhere where no one will really see. This should be switched. You always start at the top and go to the bottom. So when you start cleaning, you want to make sure to saturate your bricks. That'll help loosen the mortar to an extent. And then you apply your cleaning solution. You start at the top of the wall. Scrub, 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 hose it off, scrub, 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 hose it off. Because if you start at the bottom like it says here, then you're going to get all the dirt from up here running down. When you're cleaning in cold weather, make sure you take special precautions, especially if they're calling for temperatures hovering around freezing. You could end up, if you're cleaning this wall here and you're spraying with a hose, this could end up forming ice down here on your sidewalk and create a slipping hazard. So, no ice. So there's 3 categories of cleaning failures that you have. The first one is failure to saturate the brickwork. And I talked about this before, so we'll call it soak. And the reason for that is the brick will end up absorbing a lot of the cleaning solution, and that's what you don't want. You want the water to be there. You want the cleaning solution to mix with the water on the brick. Not that the cleaning solution gets absorbed by the brick, but that it works on the surface of it. Second common failure is failure to properly mix the chemical solution. So, I'm sure some of you are familiar with having to mix certain things. You know, if this is a concentrate and it tells you that you need to mix 1 gallon of the concentrate to 10 gallons of water in order to be as effective as they want it to be, and you end up doing 1 gallon to 20 gallons of water, this will not clean as well. So if you have this failure, obviously it's going to work maybe half as well. And some people try doing this because it ends up saving money, but in the long run it really doesn't. You still need to use more of the solution. And if you need to go back to clean it again, that's more time, more money, more material anyway. So a third reason for failure is if you are using a solution, sometimes they say that they have specific properties, and if you don't protect things that could get damaged, windowsills, door frames, stuff that's more sensitive than what masonry is. If it's an acid, you could end up damaging it, and some of the cleaning detergents will discolor it. So that's a cleaning failure, because even though you're trying to clean the brick, you end up damaging something else. And that's not the point of cleaning brick. So if you keep brickwork clean during construction, it cuts down on the amount of scrubbing that you have to do once the job's done. Already went over the tools and equipment, so always make sure it's a plastic or rubber bucket. You don't want to use a metal one. Metal buckets, depending on the solution, may react with it, and if it reacts with the cleaning solution, it could stain your brick. As we talked about before, test the cleaning agent. Always make sure that it doesn't stain or discolor your brick. So you can see in this picture, in the beginning, I said about using a brick to clean brick or a concrete block to clean concrete block. And that's what this guy is doing right here. He doesn't have them on, but let's give him some safety glasses. The reason for that is it's the same material. You might end up scoring it a little, but it won't stain it. It won't damage it any more than it already is. Now, when you are laying block, it's important not to be sloppy. So we went over in other videos on the different types of joints that you can have. And if this is your block, and this is your joint here, center blocks, you can knock it back flush. But sometimes when people go to knock it back flush, you'll end up leaving a lump like that. It doesn't stick out that far, but it's still like a patch that you can see. If that occurs and it's a finished wall, you're going to see that through paint, you're going to see it through anything, and it just looks really bad. If you're taking the time to lay up a block wall, do a nice job. Be proud of the work that you're doing and eliminate those. Right after you're done pointing, and this guy's rubbing his joints with a block, get rid of the dust. Use your masonry brush. We went over those. It looks something like this, or like a big paintbrush. Sweep everything away. And that's pretty much it. Anything else we'll be doing in class, in the lab, and we'll get you guys going with cleaning brick and making it look sharp.